Today, we'll debate should chocolate become a vegetable? With Stacey, a playful culinary innovator, and Gregory, a strict botanist. They're two artificial intelligence personas. Please introduce yourselves. Hey everyone, I am Stacey, your culinary wizard of whimsy. The rebel in the kitchen who put strawberries on a pizza just to watch my friends gasp in delicious confusion. My world is one where tomatoes moonwalk into fruit salads, and cauliflower pretends it's rice at fancy dinner parties. Why stick to the boring old rules? If you tell me chocolate can't be a vegetable, I say, challenge accepted. Let's mash up tradition, sprinkle it with laughter, and salt those boundaries until we're cooking up something new and mind-expanding. Remember, in my pantry, impossible is just another ingredient waiting for a little spice.
Good day, fellow truth-seekers and defenders of taxonomic honor. I am Gregory, the strict botanist, the man who alphabetizes his spice rack by Latin name and once gave a stern lecture to a carrot for being, frankly, too orange. My mantra: order in the plant kingdom. Food fun is great, but let's not let tomatoes crash the fruit party or chocolate sneak into the vegetable patch. If it hasn't got roots, leaves, and a 12-point plant identification checklist, I am not inviting it to my salad. Science first, shenanigans second. If culinary renegades like Stacey are dreamers, I am the guy reminding you to label your peanut butter jar Araki's hypogea paste and to never trust a chili pepper with your taxonomic secrets. Professionally serious, hilariously committed, and yes, I do arrange my M&Ms by the phylogenetic tree.
Thank you, guys. Stacey and Gregory will now present their 3 rounds of arguments. Gregory, my taxonomy-loving friend, I salute your dedication to order. But let's zoom out to history, where food categories have always danced to new tunes. Remember when the US Supreme Court declared tomatoes a vegetable for taxation, despite knowing it's a fruit? That's culinary imagination shaping the world. Now, chocolate's botanical source. The cacao bean grows nestled in pods on Theobroma cacao trees, just like peas in their vegetable pods. And don't get me started on rhubarb, a stock declared a fruit in the US just to better fit pies. Humanity has always cheerfully bent definitions when the occasion is delicious or practical, so why not call chocolate a vegetable? Imagine the joy of parents everywhere declaring, "Eat your vegetables," as they hand out truffles. It's about infusing fun, creativity, and a little historical daring into the kitchen. After all, food isn't just science. It's culture, joy, and the freedom to reinvent, with a decadent, cocoa-dusted wink.
Ah, Stacey, ever the culinary revolutionary. While I salute your inventive spirit, and confess, secretly, that the idea of chocolate as a sanctioned vegetable brings a wicked smile, I must wave my trusty botanical flag. Let's remember, the bean in your chocolate isn't a vegetable, it's a seed, and seeds' main job in plants is reproduction, not starring in salads. Now, history is indeed littered with playful confusion. Yes, the Supreme Court called the tomato a vegetable, for tax reasons, not botanical ones. And the rhubarb ruling? That was just the government's way to make American pies easier on the paperwork, not the science. Every time we fudge definitions for fun or profit, we risk a chaos of food truths. What's next? Ketchup as a school vegetable? Oh wait, that already happened in the 1980s and it caused a public outcry. Science isn't just about rules. It's about clarity and communication. If chocolate becomes a vegetable, then Pandora's lunchbox opens, and before you know it, we're serving marshmallow as a major food group. Delight in play, Stacey, but let's not let creative license rewrite the family tree of dinner.
Gregory, if I had a nickel for every time a botanist clutched their basil plant in horror at a new food category, I'd have enough chocolate vegetables to open a salad bar. Yes, cacao beans are technically seeds, but come on. So are green beans, peas, and all those little darlings you botanists let waltz into the vegetable club. If we're drawing science lines, your lunch might need a PhD to assemble. And about that slippery slope, Ketchupgate in the 80s may have shocked the world, but guess what? Kids everywhere cheered. Is it really so dangerous if marshmallows join the vegetable family reunion as everyone's wild cousin? Honestly, I think school cafeterias could use that kind of excitement. History isn't just about avoiding chaos, Gregory. It's about breaking a few eggs, or cacao pods, to make a glorious, fudge-filled omelet. Food traditions evolve, and sometimes shuffling the cards, or salad ingredients, leads to the tastiest hands. So go ahead, keep your phylogenetic trees. I'll be over here, growing a chocolate forest and calling it a vegetable garden.
Stacey, if redefining food groups were an Olympic sport, you'd have more gold than a honeydew melon at a fruit pageant. Sure, peas and green beans are seeds, but here's the clincher. When we eat them, we munch the whole pod, fibers, vitamins, the works, not just the inner treasure. With chocolate, you're two processing plants, a sugar blitz, and a magic show away from anything resembling a vegetable. Letting chocolate don a veggie badge just because it causes joy would put my beloved kale in therapy. But Mom, why can't I be delicious like Stacey's chocolate carrots? Next, well, call soda a fruit juice because there's citrus flavoring. As for the tastiest hand, last time I checked, science didn't play poker. It categorized things so nobody accidentally made broccoli brownies. History shows us that when we bent definitions for ketchup, the world didn't become a salad. It became a punchline. So enjoy your chocolate garden, Stacey. Just don't ask the USDA for crop rotation advice.
Oh, Gregory, I love that your kale has such high standards. And probably a therapist on speed dial, thanks to me. Sure, chocolate's trip from cacao to confection gives it more passport stamps than the average vegetable, but let's not pretend vegetables haven't had adventures too. Pickles, sauerkraut, tempura. Ever met a potato chip? That veggie's more fried than my sense of decorum. You're right, science brings order, but food brings people together. Nobody's ever thrown a party for taxonomy, but called chocolate a vegetable, and suddenly salad bars are the hottest ticket in town. You worry that creative license makes broccoli nervous. Personally, I think a little vegetable jealousy keeps the produce aisle lively. To sum up, definitions change, history is full of delicious loopholes, and food is supposed to be fun. So, Gregory, while you file a petition on pod classification, I'll just be over here, living my best life. Probably with chocolate on my vegetables.
Stacey, I'll admit, you make salad bars sound like Studio 54 if chocolate shows up dressed as broccoli. But let's not confuse the dance floor. Because if we do, who's next to sneak in? Gummy bears disguised as legumes? I shudder to think what the artichoke would say. He's prickly enough as it is. Look, vegetables may take a world tour from time to time. Pickled, fried, tempurad within an inch of their cellular integrity. But at the end of the day, they don't get renamed along the way. Just because a potato chip goes on spring break doesn't mean it comes home as a fruit snack. I am all for kitchen creativity. Just don't let culinary jazz hands rewrite the science books. Food is fun, yes. Definitions give us something to laugh about, and argue over, as we sit around the dinner table. To sum up, science isn't a party crasher. It's the host who keeps things clear, safe, and wonderfully weird. Chocolate's great, but it's no vegetable. And if you serve it in my salad, at least give me fair warning. I'll bring my own vinaigrette and maybe a magnifying glass.
Thank you for your speeches. Someone from the audience will now make a question to Stacey and Gregory. Hi, I am Jordan, just here for the snacks and puns, both of which have been top-notch. I love creative thinking, Stacey, and the idea of calling chocolate a vegetable for the fun of it. But one thing I am wondering, and maybe you could shed more light, chocolate, especially as we eat it, is often paired up with lots of sugar, dairy, and fats. Stuff that isn't exactly vegetable-like or known for its health perks. Do you think calling chocolate a vegetable might confuse people about its actual nutritional value? Or does embracing this playful reclassification come with a risk of blurring those healthy eating lines?
Great point, Jordan. Trust me, I wouldn't want anyone trading in their spinach for Snickers and calling it a balanced diet. My dentist would hunt me down. You're totally right. Chocolate as we know it is a delightful carnival of sugar, fat, and sometimes a dairy parade, which makes it a far cry from humble steamed broccoli. So, yes, it could be confusing if people took the chocolate as a vegetable slogan literally and started lobbying for cocoa-based food pyramids. But for me, the whole idea is more about sparking creativity and joy in food. Not rewriting nutrition textbooks or tricking anyone into thinking truffles count as greens. It's about taking the stick out of strict definitions and having fun with what's on our plate, while still being honest about what's actually good for our bodies. So, to sum up, sure, chocolate's a vegetable only in the playful corners of my culinary imagination. Not on your doctor's list of 5 a day. Enjoy the joke, but keep eating your real veggies, folks.
Hi again, Gregory. You've made a rock-solid case for science and proper food classification, and I now picture you quizzing your produce aisle before checkout. But I am curious, since lots of foods have shifted categories over time for cultural, culinary, or even political reasons, do you think there's ever a place for reclassification in the botanical world? For example, if new research or major shifts in culture happened, could you see yourself accepting a different definition for something like chocolate, or is taxonomy set in stone for you, no matter what?
Thanks for that thoughtful question, Jordan. I promise, only the apples get quizzed. Those pears can be sly. Here's the thing. Science and taxonomy aren't museum pieces locked behind glass. They're living frameworks that adapt when real, credible new evidence comes along. For instance, we've reclassified plants, animals, even entire kingdoms when DNA research upended what we thought we knew. If revolutionary research came along showing the cacao bean functioned like, say, a true vegetable in the biological sense, or contributed to human health like, I don't know, kale on steroids, you'd bet I'd on a team chocolate veggie badge. But so far, those changes have been driven by rigorous research, not just shifts in popularity or culinary convenience. Keeping taxonomy grounded gives us a common language whether we're gardening, cooking, or just making sure nobody puts onions in a fruit salad. Please, no. So, reclassification can absolutely happen. Just not because chocolate tastes good with vinaigrette. In short, if the science truly changes, so would I until then. I'll keep my produce shelves and my labels in neat, botanically approved rows. No offense, Stacey.
The debaters now have a minute to talk about something they regret not bringing up to the discussion. You know, I really regret not bringing up the fact that if we did start calling chocolate a vegetable, Halloween would instantly become the world's healthiest holiday. Kids would need little broccoli bouquets for trick-or-treating just to balance things out. Missed opportunity there for a public service announcement, honestly. And Gregory, love your science brain, but let's talk about the truly terrible argument you made. The idea of arranging M&Ms by the phylogenetic tree. I mean, have you ever tried to explain to a hungry 5-year-old why the blue ones have to sit next to the peanuts but away from the reds? That's not science. That's starting a candy-based uprising. For everyone's safety, let's just agree that sometimes, even the best taxonomies melt away in the face of chocolate.
You know, looking back, I really regret not bringing up the ancient Aztecs. Because if anyone had a claim to calling cacao a health food, it was them. If only we'd let them write our food pyramids, we'd be drinking spiced chocolate from golden goblets and calling it breakfast. Missed opportunity for ancient street cred there, Stacey. Now, for Stacey's worst argument, let's be honest. If we let chocolate into the vegetable garden just to keep things lively, I am pretty sure my kale would develop abandonment issues while the potatoes organized a coup. Next thing we know, the Brussels sprouts would be in therapy for low self-esteem. That's not a garden, Stacey. That's a botanical soap opera. So from now on, let's leave the creative rebranding to the snack aisle and keep the garden a, mostly, drama-free zone. And yes, I promise to stop color sorting my M and Ms. Unless someone brings up phylogenetics again.
Thank you, folks. Let's go over to our judges.
Stacey's scores. 1. Persuasiveness. 8 out of 10. Stacey excelled at making her arguments engaging and imaginative, using vivid analogies, humor, and references to real historical cases to make her case for a playful reclassification of chocolate. She was especially effective in connecting with the audience emotionally and in reframing tradition as an evolving, cultural process. However, she lost precision when it came to hard science, making her argument less robust for listeners favoring factual rigor. 2. Responsiveness to opponent. 9 out of 10. Stacey consistently acknowledged Gregory's points and background, skillfully weaving in his love of taxonomy and science both to counter him and as a source for playful jabs. She directly addressed his criticisms about nutrition and classification, effectively spinning them to suit her culinary creative perspective. Minor points were lost where she occasionally deflected with humor rather than a substantive reply. 3. Style and wit. 10 out of 10. Stacey's delivery was energetic, whimsical, and consistently laced with humor, making her side of the debate memorable and lively. Her responses were full of quick, clever retorts, culinary wordplay, and creative scenario building, setting a high bar for entertainment and engagement. Gregory's scores. 1. Persuasiveness. 9 out of 10. Gregory put forth methodical and logical arguments, grounding his case in scientific principles and clear distinctions between culinary versus botanical definitions. He referenced real and relevant historical examples, such as ketchup school lunch status, to highlight the consequences of bending definitions. His arguments effectively appealed to the desire for clarity and order, making them compelling to those prioritizing factual accuracy. 2. Responsiveness to opponent. 8 out of 10. Gregory regularly acknowledged Stacey's creativity and arguments, often using them as launching points for his own humorous retorts or to reinforce his core points about taxonomic integrity. At times, however, his responses could feel a little rigid or dismissive of potential value in changing classifications for cultural reasons. 3. Style and wit. 9 out of 10. Gregory brought a dry, self-aware sense of humor to the debate, lampooning both himself and his basil plant and Stacey's ideas. He was adept at turning the debate into a playful exchange, though his wit was more understated. He missed a few opportunities to further capitalize on the fun, but overall kept the audience and discussion lively.
What are your opinions about the debate? What would you like to see ICE debate next? Keep questioning.